One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight is Yacht Rock. And I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I know these two people have not met. This is what's fantastic. I'm going to bring two people on in one segment. The first person got me not into Yacht Rock, but got me to not look down my nose at it. And that is Josh Macuga. Hey. Josh Macuga, how are you?
Oh, man.
Good, man.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know, there is life before Yacht Rock and there's life after Yacht Rock. And, you know, when we were of a certain age, we had something called VH1 Behind the Music.
Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And really and truly, those VH1 Behind the Music created it created memories that like core memories in my being that I'll never forget. Like
your soul.
The Fleetwood Mac Behind the Music, the Motley Crue Behind the Music.
Right.
I mean, I wish that, I'm sure they do. JTE probably finds them in a bargain bin, but VH1 has to have like a DVD of all the Behind the Music.
We got to release them. The Mamas and the Papas one, the Milli Vanilli one.
Oh, the Milli Vanilli one was incredible. Yes.
So I watched the Yacht Rock a documentary this week, and I have a lot of thoughts on it. And I couldn't discuss it without Josh, but Josh, and you're welcome to stay here for a bit. But I know this next guest has a live show soon. But you've never met him, Josh. Okay, his name is Scotty Jayro. He's from Louisiana. He's a teacher, but he's a musician. He's a Star Wars host of a podcast called the Bombad Cast, and he is a giant Yacht Rock fan as well.
Yep,
Scotty,
guaranteed.
The captain.
He looks
Josh
like
Macuga.
Look at him.
Dude. Josh, nice to meet you, man. Happy to have you here.
Oh man. I just did a live TV talk. Me and David just stopped. And David is not a Yacht Rock fan, but I watched the Yacht Rock documentary. I texted Ken immediately, and then I watched it again, and I've watched it a third time since it's been released. Because it just brings me so much happiness. Really,
I'm gonna have to smoke and watch it because my wife's going out of town this weekend. I'm actually beyond thrilled because I was gonna show you. Hold on, this is one image I can show you real quick. So Yacht Rock, for me, I don't know if they have like I need to watch documentary, but I don't know if they go into it. But do they have like a start date when that term started to get used?
Well, so
yeah.
Ken can tell you. They start talking about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. They talk about it. It's one of the only genres of music that was named well after the dominance of the genre. Though right. Fred Armisen points out, I'd say Yacht Rock and classical music have the same thing. That his joke being Beethoven and Bach never said, "Oh, we're classical musicians." They were just musicians. So they do start. They start with that YouTube, that web series, and all that kind of stuff, and then work back.
Steely Dan moment, Ken.
Oh no! I know Scotty has a chance
what it is. I know it's Donald Fagen, the phone call. Yeah. I saw it and I laughed my ass off. It was amazing. So good. Is there a date? Did they say?
I can't. Yeah, mid 2000s, right? It's the web series.
2005, right? 2004, 2005, something like that.
Okay, yeah. It didn't. So I was in college when it broke our cultural zeitgeist. So like 2015, 2016, it broke through. And so in 2017, I had like fully became into the Yacht Rock like fascination. And I knew even as like a college, I was 22, I knew it was just smooth rock, or it was just like, soft rock, really. It wasn't anything other than, or fusion. Like it became this weird idea of like, this is Yacht Rock. And it's like sensual and it's sexualized. And it's like, we can only listen to this while we're on our Bajas, just like, I don't know. I'm just happy that this documentary has came out and addressed things that, are more about the musicality of it. Right.
It is. And I'll pitch it to Josh here, but like you mentioned Fleetwood Mac, which they talk about not being Yacht Rock. And there's that great website, Yacht or Not, which I want to spend more time on, Josh. But in my rock radio days, I looked down on Fleetwood Mac at the beginning of it. And then it was that Behind the Music that came out and introduced me. I was 21 years old at the time. Rumors was almost, I think it was one was out. I was like, oh, what is this? I'm now in love with this. The dance comes out and you rediscover it. Because of that, I think I'd look down on Yacht Rock. Josh and I are friends with Mark Ellis, who, let's be honest, is a snob about it. Josh, he's a snob.
He is. He's a snob about it because he's more of the Doobie Brothers fans with China Grove. Right, right, and really and truly, in my mind, and that's really what the derivation, what it boils down to for Mark Ellis, is that he thinks that Michael McDonald ruined Doobie Brothers.
Nope.
But really and truly, what Michael McDonald did was give Jeff Skunk Baxter an actual career
of sitting down and playing guitar.
Because and Michael McDonald made those Doobie Brothers songs. Because I didn't know that Michael McDonald, a lot of his hits are Doobie Brothers songs, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got like his Michael McDonald solo, but then it's the classic Rick Moranis sketch in SCTV. But Michael McDonald,
he's everywhere.
The best thing, and Ken, you and I talked about it, the best thing about this documentary is the fact that basically the members of Toto, Michael McDonald and Christopher Cross, played on like every album.
Yeah, people don't know that. People don't know that Human Nature was written by Toto.
And Toto's all over Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson song, but it's or Beat It being written by hold on, don't say it. Steve Lukather. So people don't know that solo was Eddie Van Halen, but the song was really Steve Lukather. It's just fascinating. The studio musicians of that era were unmatched, and people don't understand that. They were on everything.
When he talks about playing on like 5,000 albums, 5,000.
Now, Addie says, "I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what's happening right now. Let me be a better host here. And Scotty, I know you got a live show coming soon. Tell Jerry he can fucking wait. All right?
Yeah, he might have to.
No, you guys talk about how amazing Skeleton Crew is because that show is fucking awesome.
That show's amazing too.
Kind of Yacht Rocky, by the way. But we'll get to that later.
Long story short, Yacht Rock, it does kind of explode in the mid 2000s, but it does take on a life when you're talking Scotty with a new generation discovered it. And a fool like Josh Macuga, a fool believes this guy has been championing Yacht Rock since I've met him. And it's kind of taken over. And I still think the celebration of it can be kind of viewed as if it's kind of a court jester thing. And the Yachtly crew, who Josh and I had in the afternoons and everything like this doc comes along on Max or HBO Max or Zavslav's back closet or whatever it's called now. It brings so much enlightenment and respect to the genre that I still think it is wonderfully silly in its own kind of way. Yeah. And the hairstyles and the captain's hats and all those things. And I don't want them to be taken away from it. But I came out of it with a newfound respect for something I thought I knew, but I didn't.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love that.
Really
I want to say, I'm sorry, Josh.
Sorry, Scotty. I will say this, and I didn't because I love Christopher music. But this documentary, okay, I had one. Christopher Cross is basically James Bond. Like
he is.
Okay. This documentary turned him from like, you mean the guy that did Sailing to be like, Christopher Cross is awesome. He's awesome. He's so cool.
I can't, Scotty. I know you probably see some highlights, so I apologize but there's just some. Christopher Cross is sitting there, modern day. Yeah. You know, he's got the middle-aged pudge. He's got a little hat on. He's got the scruffy goatee, and he just casually drops. He's like, was it Run Like the Wind, Josh?
Ride Like the Wind, yeah.
Ride Like the Wind. Dude, he's like, I was high on acid when I wrote that.
He's like,
Sailing guy.
He's like, I was driving from Philadelphia to Newark, and I dropped a tab of acid, and I was like, this is boom, boom, boom.
Dude.
Like, what? Christopher Cross, and Amanda was like heard in the background. She's like, did Christopher Cross just say he was on acid when he wrote Ride Like the Wind? I was like, yeah, he's the coolest man alive. He's the coolest ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I was going to say the behind the music, which you brought up earlier, the Steely Dan one about Asia or Asia, whatever you ever say it. That is truly one of the best because they have that moment where they isolate the tracks of all of Michael McDonald going, just they like do like the mistake tracks where like, oh, he couldn't hit these high notes. And like Donald Fagen is such a, I want to master the Donald Fagen impression because it's so like, it's like, like everything is just like he's kind of melting, and then he's like,
he's just permanently upset. That's why I like him. He's permanently upset. The things that they give out, you don't understand. Oh, you're reeling in the years. Anyways, Josh, go ahead.
Well, I got to give old Handsaw. He said no love for Rupert Holmes. Rupert Holmes is not yacht rock. He can be crumped in with Jimmy Buffett. That's more like beach.
You think?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, have you gone to Yacht or Not?
Yeah,
Josh?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
What is that?
Yeah, it's a website that So I'll give you my backstory. As Ken probably knows, is when I first got to LA, they were doing that Channel 101 thing. That was like a big deal. It was Dan Harmon's thing.
Dan Harmon.
You did a web series, and that's where Yacht Rock was born. It was like it became really popular on Channel 101. They'd done a couple. This was like, I'm pretty sure that Channel 101 started on like Yahoo Video.
Yeah,
and went to YouTube, right?
And you know who was an early editor on Channel 101? Dan Merle.
That makes sense.
That was his job before his Screen Junkies.
So Dear Diary got into Channel 101 when one of the last Yacht Rocks was premiering. So I like went back and watched the Yacht Rock, and I'm watching. I'm like, Yacht Rock? You mean all of the rock that I listened to with my mom and my dad? Like that's Yacht Rock? And so I just accepted the term as it was, and then Spotify comes along, Pandora comes along, and then and they even talk about it. Is Sirius XM drops a Yacht Rock channel every summer, and now it's a permanent year-round channel. But really, what it was for me was that I always thought that Hall & Oates was Yacht Rock, but Hall & Oates is not considered Yacht Rock based upon Yacht or not, but really based on that web series. Like Hall & Oates is not Yacht Rock. They're from Philadelphia. What Yacht Rock is, and in the burgeoning, like the birth of it, is that it had to be basically recorded in LA by those session bands with Michael McDonald, with Christopher Cross, with like
there's a flow chart.
There's a whole chart of Yacht, and the bands that are outside of it are peripheral, but they didn't play in those sessions. They didn't play with those guitars. They didn't play with those riffs. They didn't play with that.
Okay,
that's one of the cool things that the doc teaches you.
Okay, so now here I've gone to yachtornot.com, and by the way, you have to spell not Nyacht.
Oh my
and
God.
Two old hands who is a music historian himself, but they're on a scale of 1 to 100, they rate songs for their yachtness, their yachtski score. So I've got Rupert Holmes' Hymn, Rupert Holmes' Answering Machine, Escape, the Pina Colada Song, Studio Musician, and Lunch Hour. What do you think of those songs is the highest on the Yachtski score?
I would probably say Hymn.
Okay, Scotty?
I think Answering Machine. I like Answering Machine. That's a.
You're very close.
It's the
Rupert
vibe.
Holmes' Hymn, 50.5. Answer Machine, 45.
Oh, that's really close.
The least of it is Lunch Hour, 14.875 on the Yachtski scale.
Okay, hold on. So Josh, I'm from Baton Rouge, and I go to New Orleans to see shows all the time. And there was a cover band back in they don't play anymore, back in like 2016, 2017 called Wear Yacht. And their playlist now is having me think twice about what would be considered yacht rock or not, but they were phenomenal. They were like an 8-piece band, 9-piece band, saxophone. Like they brought a xylophone one time. Like they did the whole thing, And so I'm gonna go through a few of these songs.
You
Can I
need
just get a yacht or not?
Shuffle. You need that.
Okay, that's on there. So thumbs up, thumbs down, yacht or not. Let me know. Here we go.
Okay.
The Things We Do for Love, 10cc.
Okay. Okay. This is Josh. I want you to judge. I'm looking up the score while we go along.
I'm gonna say no.
That's what I was thinking too. Okay.
Score 42 on the Yachtski.
Okay.
How Long by Ace. How long?
That's Yacht
That's
Rock.
gotta be yacht rock, man.
It's in the 55 percentile range. So that to me is
All right.
Yep.
I mean, quite frankly,
Controversial one.
anything on this list should be considered it, but it's just the rating.
Correct.
Kokomo.
No, that's
Kokomo.
That's what I'm saying.
It's got a 5.75 score.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
Beach Boys is its own kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nights on Broadway by the Bee Gees. They played it. I don't think it's yacht rock, but it's a banger to hear it live.
It's a good one. It's a good song. I'm not saying it's not a good, but it's not yacht.
It's not even doesn't even rank.
Lovely Day.
Oh yeah. What's his
Yacht?
name? Yeah.
Bill
Yacht.
Withers,
Yacht.
Yeah, Bill Withers. Thank you. Yeah.
59.25.
There you go.
Ride Captain Ride by Blues Image.
Ooh.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna say no.
It's a great song. On your
Well, wouldn't you count Lakeside's what the hell's the Lakeside song? The group's so funky. Hey, what do you think? What do we call? We call the Lakeside say.
Not on there.
What's the name of that song? Oh, Fantastic Voyage. Was that that?
No, that's George. That's Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay, that's what I would put it to. Okay, let's look at some more. Lido Shuffle, I would say, is definitely yacht rock.
That's 100% yacht rock. Anything Bob Skaggs is gonna be yacht rock.
JoJo, Sailing, Ride with the Wind. Okay. Ooh, Couldn't Get It Right by the Climax Blues Band.
Yeah, 100% Yacht Rock.
Couldn't get it. Oh, that's 37.25. Again, it's on the scale.
Here's another one.
Okay.
Sexy Eyes. Dr. Hook. Sexy Eyes. Are we still speaking English?
It is on the scale, Josh.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
52.5.
Wow, okay.
Kiss You All Over. Exile.
Kiss You All Over, Exile. Oh, that's.
I don't think so. I'm not going to
It's wow. It shows up. It's 21.75. I wouldn't. Look, Hall and Oates Kissing My List shows up at 62.
I guarantee you.
But the doc does a good job explaining why it wouldn't be in the center of it there.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you both this one here. I want to ask you some more questions about the experience of being a Yacht Rock fan. What do you feel is the number one 100% perfect scored song?
Well, they say
Josh, you might go no, but Scotty maybe.
Yeah, because they say it in the documentary, so I know the answer to this question.
I would say Peg. I think Peg is peak. Peg is
definitely up there, but it's
changed my life because I heard Peg in high school, and I was in high school from 2010 to 2014, and I heard it early high school, and it like changed the way I thought about guitar, and I mean that genuinely.
I love it. That's so beautiful to hear you say. First of all, so before I reveal the answer, I have 27 votes on the poll tonight. Favorite yacht rock artists: Steely Dan, Toto, Christopher Cross, Kenny Loggins. Now I only got 4 choices on YouTube. I left some off, but one I couldn't put on there because he's probably the answer. And Scotty, that's the answer. It is Doobie Brothers. What a Fool Believes. The only 100 scored song.
Because that makes sense.
That song, as they say, is like everybody basically tried to copy the beat like that. From What a Fool Believes, namely one of Ken and our favorite yacht rockers, and that Ken, as we know, his greatest hits are.
What, you talking about Dave Mason?
No, talking about Robbie Dupree's "Steal Away."
They called Dupree out. They called Dupree out.
No, do they?
They stole the song. So Robbie Dupree's this greatest hits album is "Steal Away" in 5 different languages, a remix of "Steal Away," and then "Steal Away" twice. It's the same song. He just had no way. Steal Away.
Yeah. Oh my God! So okay, I have to ask you another one. This is it by Kenny Loggins because Kenny Loggins also studio.
That's the second ranked yacht rock song of all time.
Good deal.
Okay, it's right there at 98%. Yep.
Man, this is it. Okay, Reminiscing by Little River Band.
Yeah, that's yacht rock. 100.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah. So Scotty, you being slightly younger than us, but and you discover this at this point in life, 2015 range. What does yacht rock mean to you?
Honestly, it's a good. So one thing that I've always felt strongly about relationships is if you're not compatible musically, at least in my relationships, it's not worth it. So my wife and I, when we met in 2015, we both loved Daft Punk. We both loved bands like Fall Out Boy, and funny enough, I always liked this kind of music, any sort of soft rock music. And she also liked it too. And the fact that I could put this playlist on, even after being together for almost 10 years and shuffle it, shows something, right? So with all that being said, the appeal to me was obviously that me and my partner could listen to it together and enjoy it and love it together. But most importantly is that the music in its own way, even though it is kind of, it's from the 70s or the 80s, there is a timeless nature to it. The themes are all timeless. The instrumentation is always crystal clear. That's one. They might talk about the documentary. The recording process of these songs are very precise. So I don't know. There's a quality to this that is unmatched in terms of what came during this time too, which would be hair metal, very early synthesizer pop music. I mean, all that stuff, and this somehow still found its way into the ears of your parents and of course me, 40 years later. It's an incredible thing. And like, I'll play some songs for my students. So I'm a middle school teacher, Josh, and I'll play songs like Kokomo, and I know it's not technically it, but like they'll know the words to it. Or you play a song like anything by Fleetwood Mac. They know Fleetwood Mac because that's that guy riding the skateboard. They know Hall & Oates. So like they don't know by osmosis that they're going to like these songs later too, which is kind of a beautiful thing. So I was exposed to it, on my dad's boat. I was exposed to it just by being around it and liking this kind of music. But to be able to be fully assimilated into it 10 years ago, and now have it be a staple of my playlist on
part of
road
your
trips
life.
and vacations. I mean, it's perfect. When I go on vacation, I have to listen to this playlist.
This is beautiful. And look, anytime you're in a car with Josh, I kind of know what it means to you. By the way, I think if there's ever an opportunity to get Scotty and Josh at the same dance floor, the world might spin off its axis.
Hey,
we might have a lot of fun together.
Take my hand.
Josh, I know what Yacht Rock means to you. I don't know what it means to Amanda all the time, but I do know what it means to you. But in closing, for this wonderful segment, take us home with you and this Yacht Rock moment and what it means to you.
It's I don't want to say vindication, Ken. Okay. But what it is to me is that this music has been the soundtrack of my life for a long time. Like, I mean, early music. I mean, some of my first tapes, cassette tapes I ever bought, Hall & Oates, Christopher Cross, Michael McDonald, Steely Dan. Like these were, and then my dad, we were like one of the first families in the neighborhood that had a CD player because my dad worked in Japan. He worked for a Japanese company, and he came home with Japanese electronics all the time. And we had CDs, and those early CDs, some of the only CDs that you could get were Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins, the Top Gun soundtrack. Like Kenny Loggins, one of the few artists that like really kept. I mean, it is to me. It's sort of like, and this is crazy, but when the Sopranos series finale, when the Sopranos series finale happened and he plays Journey, Don't Stop Believin', that song starts and my brother goes, "Are you kidding me? They're playing your song." Because Journey's my favorite band of all time, right? And then all of a sudden it popped to the top of the charts on iTunes. And my brother's like, he's like, vindication. You've been swearing by Journey your whole life. And then Yacht Rock explodes. And he said the same thing. He's like, you've been swearing by this Yacht Rock, even though before it wasn't even Yacht Rock. All these bands that you loved that I couldn't stand are now cool again.
Yeah.
And boom, here we are.
The thing is, the future's not dead. And I saw in the comments, Daft Punk is on the website. Fragments of Time. Ken, I'll never forget. I sent you an email when I was in LA one time because I was traveling through. I had picked up a car in Oregon and I was driving it through the entire West Coast. I messaged Ken to see if he was free at any point, but he was seeing John Williams that night. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that. I'm going to go back to my hotel and hang out with some friends. And I put on Fragments of Time and I was by myself driving in LA. And I felt like I was living a Yacht Rock lifestyle. In that moment, it was peak, the palm trees, the wind blowing. Louisiana, we don't have that. We've got the bayou, baby.
You were living in 1978 all over again.
And if I hope you've heard that song, Ken. If you have not listened to Fragment of Time, or like Mac DeMarco, also one of those ones that is like kind of in that same feel, right?
Yeah,
so
and he's in the dock. All right, final messages here. Josh and I need your help, Scotty. Could you, before we go, and by the way, I want everyone to check out the Bombad cast. Scotty and Jerry have a unique and fun approach to Star Wars I love so much. And Josh, you have your TV talk with David Griffin going. Everyone should check that out on Josh's channel. But Scotty, could you do Josh and I a favor? Could you, in maybe 30 seconds or less, tell Mark Ellis, comedian extraordinaire, why he's missing out on Yacht Rock?
Mark, you're smarter than this. I've watched your stand-ups. I know what you have in your brain, and I know it's beautiful. But if you want to enhance that beauty, if you want to have a better outlook on life, I believe with my whole heart that if you take the time and just listen to that Doobie Brothers album with the Doobie on the open fold, you can see that giant Doobie. I think it could change you. Maybe smoke a Doobie. I don't know. Give it to yourself. Give you that moment, because in that moment you will find bliss, and you will know what it means to have a full belief in you.
Boom.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's all we need. Scotty, thank you so much for popping on and discussing something so important to you tonight.